Your death won't come easily.
Hello, Sean of the Lore Hunter here, and this is Sekiro So Far, a series where I discuss everything we've learned about the upcoming action game Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. This is Appendix Episode 1.2, and in this video I will discuss the new character progression and gameplay mechanics information that has been revealed. Let's get into it. Before getting into the character progression stuff, I just wanted to share a few gameplay and mechanics details. First off, you can pause Sekiro, it's official. And it's not just that you can pause the game. You have 3 prosthetic tools that you can have equipped at once, that you cycle through by pressing Y on Xbox or triangle on PlayStation. But, in the Game Informer show, Suriel Vasquez explains that you're also able to pause the game and swap out prosthetic tools on the fly. The next item expands Sekiro's scope of traversal options even further. The shinobi can swim. He can even dash around in the water and use his grappling hook to spring out. Speaking of traveling around, it has now been confirmed that Sculptor's idols will let you warp back to the hub, as well as to other idols. The hub, called the Dilapidated Temple, is part of the world, with multiple pathways connecting into it. Structurally, this sounds similar to Dark Souls 2, where you could travel throughout the world from Majula, and you could also warp between bonfires. However, Miyazaki has cited the interconnectedness of Dark Souls 1 when talking about the world design of Sekiro, which has a lot of people excited. The world design of these two games is very different, with the ability, or inability, to warp between bonfires heavily informing their structure. People have been clamoring for a return to Dark Souls 1's world design, but I don't think the experience being sought after with this desire can be replicated in a game where you can warp immediately. Though the hunter's dream is disconnected from the world, Bloodborne is an example of how this might work, and although I love the level design and the moments of interconnectivity in Yharnam, it feels entirely different traveling around Lordran. On the Game Informer podcast, Suriel also mentions that there would be some traveling back and forth between areas, like a Metroidvania-style game, but this point was not expanded upon. In the Game Informer cover story, Miyazaki stated, "We feel like Sekiro is probably on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of the freedom the player has to explore the world if we're to compare it to our previous games. Particularly from the mid-game onward, the game really opens up, and you have a great deal of choice and freedom about which order and which way you choose to explore." All in all, I'm excited to see how it all comes together. I think it would be best to temper expectations about the world design in Sekiro being akin to Dark Souls 1, but that doesn't mean it won't be a rewarding world to explore. Moving along, the toxic status effect will be returning in Sekiro, but not curse. So that means the status effects confirmed to be in Sekiro are burning, poison, fear, and toxic. The shinobi's health and posture will increase over the course of the game by collecting prayer beads. Collect 4 and the shinobi will receive a boost to their max health and posture. We'll round out this section by talking about death. We already know that when you die, you can spend a token above your health bar to cheat death and live again. In the Gamescom demo, we saw the shinobi could have up to 2 of these tokens. However, Fromsoft is hinting that there are ways to enhance your resurrection capabilities, including getting more tokens. On the topic of death, dying in Dark Souls dropped your souls, the experience and currency of those games, where you fell. Sekiro is differentiating itself in this regard as well. I will soon cover this in more detail, but slain enemies drop experience points and gold coins. Unlike in Dark Souls, in Sekiro you will not drop anything upon death, and there will be no blood stain to recover. In Game Informer's interview with Miyazaki, he said, "We do want to incorporate a new sense of demerit or a disadvantage to death. We want the player to fear death in the same way that they did before, but this will take on a different shape this time. There's a reason for coming back to life, and there's more general themes and concepts around death and rebirth, so this is something we wanted to explore on the gameplay side as well." FromSoft's Yasuhiro Katao also commented on the death penalty, saying, "It's very unique and it's more personal." No further information about this has been revealed, but it sounds like this particular mystery is tied into the story and themes of the game. And with that, let's talk about character progression in Sekiro. No stats or classical RPG mechanics are one of the biggest differences between Sekiro and the Souls games. Miyazaki stated, "The idea of a stat-based level-up system is that you are catering to different people's builds. This means that not all users have to use everything. They can specialize or they can focus on their build. The idea of this game in the multifaceted ninja means that you have to use everything in your arsenal, everything at your disposal to overcome these challenges. Having these skills and items that you can gradually acquire allows them to specialize in everything to a degree and really become that multi-talented, multifaceted shinobi." To discuss character progression, I first want to describe the hub in Sekiro, called the Dilapidated Temple. The Dilapidated Temple is connected into the world similar to Firelink Shrine or Majula and hosts NPCs who you will interact with to do a lot of your upgrading. FromSoft's Yasuhiro Katao told Game Informer, "If you're familiar with the Souls games, you know how you can find NPCs in the world. Maybe they're vendors, maybe they want to do something with you. Maybe they head back to the hub, where you can speak to them and progress their quests." Let's discuss the temple NPCs that have been revealed and how they aid in character progression. First, there is the Sculptor, who I describe in part 4 of this series. He will craft and upgrade your prosthetic tools using materials that you would collect from enemies out in the world. An example of a prosthetic tool upgrade that was given was an upgrade to the loaded shuriken, where you could upgrade it to fire multiple shurikens. In a December 2018 4Gamer interview with Miyazaki, he also hinted that you would be able to upgrade the penetration of shurikens and maybe even upgrade them to be dark, whatever that means. The next NPC is Emma, already being dubbed the new waifu by internet men. She is a newly revealed NPC who can improve the number of swigs you get from your healing gourd by giving her gourd seeds, similar to the Estus shard in Dark Souls 3. The final NPC revealed is the Immortal Soldier, essentially a living practice dummy who you can practice new tools and skills on. Speaking of skills, let's talk about the skill tree. When you kill an enemy, they will drop experience, as I mentioned earlier. This experience will fill up a portion of the shinobi's experience meter, which will produce a point to spend on a skill tree when filled. You spend skill points at the Sculptor's idle checkpoints throughout the world. There are multiple skill trees. The Samurai Arts, the Shinobi Arts, and the Prosthetic Arm skill trees have been revealed so far, and there are likely more according to Game Informer. To invest points in a skill tree, you must first unlock it by finding an item out in the world. In Game Informer's character progression video, Serial said that the skill trees are fairly short, but a lot of the abilities you get seem fairly substantial. He also mentioned that From said they were still in development. If you're having trouble with a boss, or you like grinding for some reason, you can spend some time upgrading your character and unlocking skills. The skill trees are a mix of passive upgrades, additions to your basic moveset, and special moves called combat arts. A passive upgrade mentioned was increased healing from your healing gourd. The Mikiri counter seen in the Gamescom demo is an example of a skill that expands your basic moveset, and is found in the Shinobi skill tree. The Shinobi can have one combat art equipped on them at a time. This special move is performed by pressing the right and left bumper simultaneously. This was shown in the Gamescom demo with this spinning slash, which we have learned can be unlocked from the Shinobi skill tree. This follow-up slash seen performed after throwing a shuriken in the demo was revealed to be a skill found in the Prosthetic Arm skill tree. This may mean that the follow-up attacks we've seen, such as setting your katana on fire with the flame vent, and the loaded axe's spinning slash, are also skills that need to be unlocked. And that is what we've learned about the character progression and gameplay systems in Sekiro so far. There's a lot here, but what it boils down to is that there seems to be a bunch of stuff you can do and play around with. There were concerns about the player's motivation to kill enemies and explore, and this character progression and these systems have definitely addressed those concerns, I'd say. And that's what I have for now. Game Informer is releasing new content all January, and I'm expecting that new information will generate a couple more Appendix episodes. If you want to stay notified when those videos come out, subscribe and ding, my friend. Subscribe and ding. Thanks for watching.